I would like to welcome to the stage to talk about performance marketing on PC and console. It's Adam Smart from AppsFlyer. Come on up, Adam.
Okay, thanks for being here today, everyone. It's a bit strange talking about PC and console at a mobile gaming conference, but there's good reason for that. Like, AppsFlyer's just released its PC and console product, so we're able to do the attribution of ads for PC and console now. But I wanted to not talk about the product per se, and show you really some of the results of what we've been seeing from having released and from me going and talking to loads of different places and loads of different customers recently. So start off with who am I? I'm Adam Smart. I'm Director of Product for Gaming at AppsFlyer. I've been there for about 3 years. Before that, I was working for mobile gaming in the form of Product Madness. I was there for about 7 years. I'm also the co-host of the In the Sandbox With podcast. Check it out, please. We need some listeners other than my mum. Who are AppsFlyer? I hope most of you know who AppsFlyer are from the mobile gaming world. We are substantial. We're a very large company now. We work with the majority of gaming companies within the industry. And we essentially do the connection between the ad and the click. So being able to see who's installed from which ad. Okay, I'm going to get started on the PC and console side of stuff. And where better to start than revenue? So I think this is absolutely fantastic growth from an entire industry. But what really gets me with this is when you look at the PC revenue and the console revenue, the blue and the green, you can see that they actually add up to almost the same size as the mobile revenue, which is quite interesting that mobile companies are leaving that much on the table. And the same in reverse, PC and console companies are leaving the mobile revenue on the table. So everyone knows what PC is, but who knows what consoles are? I got sent this a little while ago, and it was good fun, actually. Somebody sent it to me on LinkedIn, was like, how many of these have you played? I had 22 out of 25. So if anyone can beat that, I would like to talk to you after this. I'll leave them on there for a second, just so you can appreciate the history there. All right, so this is my daughter, Viesha. She's 9, and she's completely addicted to Roblox. She plays all the time on her iPad. I can't get it off her at all, ever. She recently came to me. We got a PlayStation 5. I've been playing on Jedi Survivor and stuff for quite a while. She came to me and said, I want to play Roblox on PlayStation 5. And I don't know if you've ever tried to explain to a 9-year-old that they can't do something and the technical reason behind not being able to do something. It took quite a while. But in the end, it got me thinking, in reality, the gamers' expectations are changing. I would have been quite happy going out, buying a Super Nintendo cartridge. I'm talking a few years ago here, showing my age. But I'd have been quite happy going out, buying a Super Nintendo cartridge, playing that game to the end, getting bored of it, going and getting another one. My daughter, the sort of Disney Plus and Netflix generation, are wanting content. They're wanting more and more content, and they're not wanting to change games. They're wanting live service games, and they're wanting to be able to experience this ecosystem surrounding the game. In fact, 62% of gamers play on more than one platform. So PC and console is great and everything, but why are not more mobile companies moving into it, and what are the problems surrounding it? So PC and console advertising has been predominantly marketing focused. It's very much traditional sort of Hollywood movie releases. You're building up to the release date, and then you're seeing how the performance goes the first real weekend of sales. And the advertising has been going around everywhere. There's so many different forms of advertising now. But the problem with most of it is it's unmeasurable. So think about it this way, right? I'm let's pretend I'm the CMO of a mobile gaming company, okay? And this is kind of true, right? So I'm sat at home on a Sunday, and suddenly I get a message. Okay, so we're releasing a Steam game, whatever. Ah, okay, apparently this isn't a joke, okay? So I've got to actually start to think about this. But how are we going to do like the marketing on the game? Like I've never looked at a Steam game. It's all been about mobile in the past. Okay, so I've got to try and work it out. So what about, how do we do it? I can't do it. I don't know how to do it. Right, okay, so I've got to work it out. Not happy. So how do we approach that? How from what AppsFlyer is saying, how can we help you with this? So the first problem for me is truly understanding what type of game it is that you're making for PC and console side of the business. So the first we have is mobile moving across to PC and console, which from everything that I've seen is more a bringing the free-to-play model across to PC and console, and in the form of a live service game. So very similar to the free-to-play model on mobile, but doing exactly the same thing for PC and console. The second is legacy PC and console, and so a game that you would buy, you would play, you would complete the game. It's all one package, a lot like a Hollywood movie. So think Baldur's Gate 3 or Hogwarts Legacy, something like that, with no in-app purchases in it. It's just the complete game. And then we've got the sort of new, seems to be coming a lot more now, this hybrid model between the two. So you have a very low barrier for cost of entry. So you're thinking sort of more around your $20 mark, that kind of thing. But then it's more of a live service game with a lot more in-app purchases, and it's heavily driven towards monetization within the in-app purchases. But because of the low entry cost, it's much easier for people to get involved with it. From that, you then need to think about how you measure. So depending on the different type of game, would affect the different types of measurement you would need to use when you're driving users to the games. So you may be fine with, if it's a legacy PC and console game, you may be fine with just running installs. That may give you enough. If you have the full LTV of the user up front, then installs may well be enough. You can associate how much revenue you've driven with that. Then you've got the LTV, so if you have some in-app purchases within the game, you might want to be able to get a full view of the revenue generated by looking at the in-app events, the purchase in-app events, the purchase of the game up front, and then showing the totals against the campaigns that you're running. But then maybe if it's the free-to-play model, you want to almost simulate the mobile marketing and do it as a full ROAS. The next problem is inventory and where to advertise. Because this, from everything I've seen recently, this is a new market. It's like take mobile and reverse it 7 years. And that's kind of where the PC and console performance marketing is at the moment. And it's really trying to understand that you can't do exactly what you can do in mobile at the moment. And what we need is for networks to get involved in this, which they are slowly. And we need them to be able to discover the users that are on that have a PlayStation connected to their mobile and that have an Xbox that they know that is in the household and that kind of thing. So you can start to get a cheaper level of installs from the advertising in order for the measurement to take effect. Things like CTV are growing rapidly, and it's well worth looking into that type of thing at the moment. I think certainly in the US market, CTV is commonplace now. It's not so much in the rest of the world. So for global developers looking at the US market, CTV is a very good area to get involved in, which you wouldn't necessarily think of in your own local terms. And then the type of ad creative is something to look at as well. Because if you're running CTV ads, you might want something more cinematic, something looking more like a AAA game. But if you're running ads in IAA, in other mobile games and that kind of thing, you might want something that mimics the gameplay of a mobile game. So before I finish, there's also Google Play for PC, which is a new area that's just come up, which is a really nice, again, from what I can see, it's a very nice entry point into PC and console. PC, certainly. And it gives you the ability to just port Android games and be able to play them directly on PC. So if you're not interested in the entire PC and console space, that may be a really nice entry point when you're just moving across from mobile. So lastly, I've been going around talking to a lot of different companies from a lot of different countries, some mobile first, some PC and console first. And there's been one question that's sort of come up a lot, which is really, how do we do this? Where do we start? What are the best practices even? And it's horrible because I've had to turn around to everyone and say, there are no best practices, you've got to work it out. And that's just not good enough. So I started a Slack channel, and this isn't connected to AppsFlyer. This is purely just a community channel, where really we're discussing. We've got so many different people from so many different major companies within the industry, all discussing how we can build better towards PC and console, and what the industry actually needs, and how we're discovering best practices and that kind of thing. So feel free to try and join this community. I'll leave it up there for a second so you can use the QR code. And if anyone misses it, feel free to add me on LinkedIn or anything. I'll happily talk about it. So all that's left to say, really, is let the games begin.
Great. Now, we've actually got a couple of minutes for questions if anyone wants to. Is that all right? You happy to take questions?
Definitely.
Perfect, yeah. Also, I think there may have been a show reel for you guys, which we didn't play at the start, so maybe we can show that before we move on to our next speaker as well. If there is, we'll do that. But do we have a question for Adam from the audience? Come on in, folks. There's some chairs here. Yeah, go for it, please. Oh, it's John. Hello. Yeah, do we have one?
VR gaming is on there.
Okay. Oh,
it's just
yeah, just on there.
Here we go.
The question I've got is like consoles. How are platform consoles ads going to? What do the platforms think of this? It's a very controlled environment.
Yep. I mean, we don't work directly with the consoles. There is no way for us to work directly with the consoles at the moment. I think and again, I've had this conversation quite a lot over the past little while. I think it's a new area, and it's something that is growing at the moment. AppsFlyer as a whole never had an okay to work with Apple or Google, but we've built that up over time, and it's commonplace within mobile now. And we do see the same happening on PC and console.
That's great, thanks. Thanks, John. And there's another question over here, I think.
Hey, Adam. Oh, yeah, it's on. Hey, thank you so much for the talk. I have a question. Is it already possible to attribute like conversions? Do you have to put the AppsFlyer SDK in a console game, or how does it work?
Yeah, so a lot of it's done. We do have some SDKs for some of the platforms. Others are like server-to-server, post-install. So yes, it's already existing. Yes, you can go to if you go to AppsFlyer, you'll find the documentation, or you can Google it, or however you want to try and find it. Ping me directly, whatever. But yes, it's there, it's existing, and it's open to use now.
Yeah, we have another question coming from the front here.
Do you think the process of getting the inventories into the consoles, would that be the SSPs directly? Like, do you consider the companies to be working with the SSPs directly, or is it via DSPs? Or like, how do you see the flow going in?
I mean, like mobile, there's two different paths there. You've got the SRN type path, and then you've got the DSP path. And yes, I fully expect over the next 6 months to hear a lot more from DSPs. I know for a fact that a few are developing methods in order to be able to engage with players that they know have a PlayStation attached to, that they can contact through the mobile device. So that opens up the door for running IAA in other games when you're running advertising, and that would create the ability and the lower CPIs and really start the ball rolling on a larger scale.
In IAP as well?
Yeah, 100%.
We've still got some time. We can take some more questions. I just want to check, though. Do we have our next speaker, Max, in the room? Could you? Hey, Max. How you doing? Good to see you. Thank you. So we're all good. But yeah, no, we've got a few minutes left. Does anyone else have a question for Adam while we've got some time? That was a really interesting talk. I think it's fascinating that some of the lessons that we've learned from mobile has been so great at having data and attribution for so long, and PC and console feels like, despite the fact that it's a more established market in many ways, that it's playing catch-up on all this.
You find a lot of the time that there's... for some of the larger companies, they almost end up having two different marketing departments, one for the PC and console titles and the other for the mobile titles, because of the performance marketing on mobile and then running almost brand advertising on PC and console. And I think the understanding and the way of building games will change over time for PC and console once companies start to understand that they can develop the type of measurement or receive the type of measurement on console that they would on mobile.